So I've developed a framework that is stupid simple and easy to figure out your caloric goals and what your macros would be in there. So it's called the easy method. Excuse my handwriting, but that's just what it is. Oh, by the way, if you don't know what a macronutrient is, you can look it up on Google, or I'll just give you the really simple definition. Macronutrient is one of the three things that I'm going to talk about. It's protein, fats, and carbs. It's where we get our energy at. Anyways, I thought I should just put that out there, especially because this is my first video. But, all right, easy method, okay? A little story behind this. So, I heard about macronutrients, I heard about micronutrients. I was getting all this information, and I looked it up, and it was like, oh my God, it seems so complicated. I just wish there was an easy way to figure it out. And so I've kind of developed this way of figuring out, what do you need for protein, carbs, and fat using this method. And it has worked out well for me. And I thought of just sharing it with you guys. Okay, let's talk about it now. So the strategy behind it, it's figuring out your macronutrients, finding your goal, and it's having some variety, knowing how you can make this so it fits you, right? And that's all included in these steps. That's the strategy behind it. It's personalized, it's easy to follow, and it's easy to make. So let's just talk about it. All right, E is for establishing goals, okay? So we need to figure out whether we want to do one of these three things. Lose weight, it's maintain weight, and it's gain weight. When it comes to nutrition and your body compositions, what am I going to do? Am I going to lose weight? Am I going to gain weight? Or am I going to maintain weight? Perfect. So you're either losing weight, you're gaining weight, or you're maintaining weight. So that's one. Establishing goals. Pick one of the three things. Okay. Number 2. A stands for assigning macros. This is the hardest part of it, but it really is easy. All you do is just multiply, minus, divide, and add. And so I have a range that I give out. I have it right here. And all you're doing is you're just going to use your body weight times a multiple. So let's say I'm 150 pounds. My body weight, okay? This is all done in pounds, so you can't switch this over to kilograms. But that's easy. If you just use kilograms, just times your number times 2.2, you figure out your pound. And now we're gonna figure out our total daily energy expenditure. That's the really nerdy way of saying it, or your just daily calories. So I have the multiples right here. I'll put it in the Google Doc, and you guys can just use the multiples. If I put the multiples on here, the list would go on forever. The multiple right here is 150 times 17. Let's figure out what that is, and that's our total daily energy expenditure. All right, perfect. So we got 2,550 calories, okay? Now, I want to lose a pound a week, okay? So I'm just gonna minus 500 calories from this. All right, I just moved it over here, so that was step 1. This is step 2. So we figured out our goal calories, okay? And now simply, all we gotta do for step 3 is, again, it's a multiple depending on your weight. So we do your body weight times the what I call carb multiple. So we just figured out our carbs. And we'll go back to this real quick. This might seem really, really odd, but it'll all connect here in a second. Okay, so we just figured out how many carbs we need per day. All right, now we need to figure out our protein. Simply, all you have to do, we usually shoot around a gram per pound of body weight. So we just do 150 times 1 in this case. Perfect. So we just figured out 2 of the 3 macronutrients, and then you figure, Hunter, how can I find my fats? Okay, so all we do is, because we know that in 1 gram of carbohydrates, there's 4 calories, in 1 gram of protein, there's 4 calories. So we just multiply these by 4 and add them up. So we just figured out the total amount of calories for carbs we're eating a day, and the total amount of calories protein we're eating a day, and then we just added them together and we got this number right here, 1500. And then all we do with that number to figure out our fats is a really easy step 5 in this process. Okay, your TDEE minus what your carbs and protein are added up, and that's your total amount of calories for your fats. Fats are different. They're 9 calories per gram. So all we do is just take this number and divide it by 9. 61 for fat. All right, now I'm gonna put these numbers up top here. So that would be the goal macros of a 150 pound person. Ish, roughly. These are good estimates, and these are a good place to start when it comes to figuring out your macros. So that was the hardest step, okay? We go on to S, which is, we got a setup plan. Okay, so what that means is we need to figure out, all right, if I'm cutting weight, I probably want to eat more vegetables. I probably want to eat lean meats. You should just generally eat lean meats. If I'm bulking, I'm just going to add more fats to my diet usually, right? Just a little bit more fats, and maybe take some of the fats away maybe from this number, put it into my carbs, just kind of play around with the numbers. So yeah, you're just setting up your plan, the daily plan, okay? And that's like, all right, I want to eat more vegetables. I want to eat more protein. I want to eat more fruit. It's really easy. And then Y, it's very creative. All right, I did spell it right. All right, so yield result, very creative. But if you follow this process, you're probably going to get the results that you want. Figuring out your macros each day, you'll feel really good. There's an app called Stupid Simple Macro Tracker, and I'll put that in the bio. I abbreviated it, but Stupid Simple Macro Tracker. You could track your macros throughout the day, and it's really nice. You could use MyFitnessPal, and MyFitnessPal, it's helpful for figuring out your total macros, but you have to buy the paid version to figure out your date, like your in-between meal macros. My big conclusion with this is I've made it as easy as possible doing it this way. That's why it's called the easy method, man. You know, and the only thing that's hard about this is just simple addition and subtraction and multiplication and division that we have to go through when we're on this step. And it's 5 steps. Oh, by the way, these are the daily macros, okay? So hit these daily. I was gonna say, when you're setting up the plan, figure out how many meals you want to eat per day. Probably just divide it up by that. When you're setting up the plan too, put more carbs around training. So one more thing, when you're setting up your plan, we're on this step. If you know that there's 9 calories in fat, right? So there's 9 calories in fat, and there's 4 calories in protein and carbs. Okay? If you know this, you could play around with the numbers a little bit. If I take 20 fats away, I can add 40 carbs. If I want to be like, well, I want to increase my fat intake, just take away 10 of these and add 5 fats. It's really simple. It's a pretty good way, and you're still going to hit your goals. All you're doing is just manipulating these numbers a little bit to fit to your liking, but this is always a good start. The big problems with this, it's all based on averages. If we have a person over here that's super active, they're gonna need a different way of doing this. Whereas if we have a super sedentary person that doesn't work out or anything, we're gonna do something different than this too. If you're working out, you're doing cardio, like 3, 4, 5 times a week, just something light, low intensity, you're eating right, you're gonna hit your body composition goals, your fitness goals. You're gonna feel great throughout the day because of this. The reason why we're increasing our carbs so much is because that's our main fuel source, really. Anyways, this is a really good way of figuring out all the variables to finding your macros. So yeah, the easy method concluded.